So this is the next part of the pyramid. All right. I'm going to keep this part relatively brief. And actually, you know what? It actually goes in well with what we were talking about, education. You've got to learn. That actually snuck in seamlessly well. You've got to learn to become a great coach. And there are many ways to do this. College sucks. We've already covered that. So you don't need to go to college to become a great coach. There are amazing, amazing programs online, whether it's Precision Nutrition's certification, which it's fantastic, whether it's Alan Aragon's research review, which is fantastic, whether it's Lyle McDonald's free information. There are many books that you can get. There is an online fitness business mentorship run by Mike Vacanti and Jordan Syatt. You could join it at the link in the show notes. There are many ways
you can apply
to educate yourself.
You can't necessarily join, but you can apply. We've changed.
You can apply to join. Link is in the description. You can apply to join. We're going to see if we're a good fit. And so there are many, many ways that you can figure out, or that you can learn and study and educate yourself. And we've spoken about this before, and I'll briefly say it again. You do not educate yourself on Instagram. And I'm not saying you can't educate yourself on Instagram. What I am saying is Instagram is not the first place you go to educate yourself. You might learn some exercises or maybe be exposed to some new concepts on Instagram briefly, but you can't gain true knowledge and education of nuance on Instagram. You just can't. You just can't. Get it from books, get it from courses, get it from certifications. And I know that Mike and I have spoken, we're not the biggest fan of most certifications. I would rather you get a decent certification than spend more time on Instagram. I would rather you spend time studying a certification that is okay than trying to get all of your knowledge from Instagram. So if you're starting out and trying to become an amazing, amazing coach, and specifically you're trying to build a very successful business, but you lack education, you're going to be whiffing. You're going to be getting air balls. You're going to be missing it. Education has to be a massive foundation of your business.
100%.
What do you have to say about education, Michael?
What don't I have to say about colleges and education? So I completely agree with everything you just laid out. And, to give an example, or to solidify the argument that you're not learning on Instagram, even if you think you are, think about the process of taking a course and then taking an exam after, or taking a college class and taking exams and writing papers. Like, these are active forms of learning where not only are you presented with the information you need, but there are tactics to help you retain and be able to implement that information. When you're scrolling through Reels and you rifle through 200 before bed at night and it's 80% fitness content, you're not retaining that.
No.
You might grasp one idea from that you even remember, let alone actually know how to implement in the future. And look, there are times where Jordan will text me once every month or 2 months and he'll be like, "Hey, Alan put out like a really long post that's a carousel and it's all words, and it's basically like half a website article crammed into a caption and like 10 pictures, which is actually reading." Or, Alex Viada has done stuff like that in the past. Like, there are instances where you can seek out a great piece of content and learn something from it. We're not saying that you can't, but the majority of what is on any short form content, I don't care if it's Twitter, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, you're not retaining that information, and the information itself isn't going in depth to the extent it needs to for you to be able to learn from it and learn what you need to learn. In addition to that, one of the underrated forms of education is experience. Like, I think we learn best by doing. Obviously, a combination of intaking information and then applying it is best. But let's not forget about what we're learning when we're actually working with clients, which is something that's overlooked. And we'll have people even in the mentorship who say, I'm working a 9 to 5 right now. I have 2 young kids. Like I'm trying to get my online business off the ground. I know you guys talk about in-person coaching experience. I just don't really have time to take on some kind of formal position as an in-person coach. What those people will do is spend 1 to 3 hours a week working with people they know in person. Come to my apartment building gym. I'll go to your garage gym, like family member, friend, deep discount or unpaid, but doing whatever it takes to get that in-person coaching experience, because there are so many things that you will learn working with a client in person that you can't learn from a book.
Correct.
And I could start listing off examples, but then we could just be giving examples throughout the rest of this episode. Little things that you wouldn't even consider, like, if you're pairing 2 exercises together, making sure that based on the setup in the gym that person has, that it's realistic for them to have 2 pieces of machinery at once, and that they're close enough together that that's actually a workable superset. Or, with a population, like a lot of people get good at training themselves because they're huge fitness fanatics and are really into fitness and have been for 20 years. And that's one of the reasons they became a coach. So you know how to train someone like yourself, but you don't know how to train different demos. And if you're working with someone who's very overweight and doesn't have the greatest, movement ability, like simply programming a standing exercise with a lying exercise can either be a really good thing if you want that individual to be standing up and getting back to the floor 6 different times in that 12 or 15 minute window, or it can be a really bad thing if you don't want that individual going from the floor to standing up. Like, depending on what you're doing, you're not going to read about this in almost any book, but when you're actually working with that population, you're going to learn, like, oh, okay, I'm going to give you the whatever. I'm going to give you the standing shoulder press with the insert other standing move, rather than something that puts them in a position that you don't want to put them in practically throughout their workout.